In Jamaican patois, the phrase Wah Gwaan means what's going on? A question tough to answer for this couple this week.
I think it's something that we've been trying to mentally and emotionally prepare for a couple of months.
Harsha Mirage and her husband Jesse Brown just announced that they will close Wah Gwaan Brewing at the end of the month, another victim of a tough economy.
With inflation, with cost of goods rising, with the overhead that we have, it's just not really possible right now.
Grain, hops, aluminum cans, everything you need for beer is getting more expensive. Costs tough to foot for a brewery that's already struggled to get funding.
Unfortunately, we've been denied by a lot of the larger banks and larger institutions.
There's very little support for black businesses on the funding front, and that's really, money's the gasoline of a business. You got to have it to make it. It's true. So, there's a lot of other businesses in our position. We're not alone in this.
Wah Gwaan is one of only a handful of black-owned breweries in Colorado and in the country.
I feel like there's already a huge barrier to entry with people of color getting into the brewing industry. So for us to kind of have this impact on the community, clearly it's been an impactful brewery and an impactful space. So that hurts.
Mirage and Brown say they measure their success in the welcoming place they've created, a brewery that introduced new communities to beer.
The outpouring of support and kind words has been super emotional and super overwhelming for both of us.
They hope that this is just the close of a chapter, not the end of their story.
One of the beautiful things about being a person of color, people of color, is there's no shortage of disappointment, so it's all about finding the positivity and the happiness in that. So, we'll adapt and overcome.
So the couple is hoping to keep their brand going. Their beer will be on tap at a few different places in town until they can figure out what's next. They say they're open for any ideas for new spaces, new funding, things that they may not have thought of yet. But they've brought so much to the craft beer space, and it's one of those places where, like, the nerds in craft beer.
Yeah.
We hear about Wah Gwaan all the time. We want to go check it out. I've been there a few times. The beer's fantastic, and it was a big surprise to see that they're closing.
As our unofficial brewery and craft brewing editor.
I've been lobbying for that position for a long time.
Two things I want to ask you about. One is you talk about the flavors, the unique flavors that they present, because you think of craft brewing going in a lot of different directions, but Wah Gwaan had its own palette.
Yeah, because the thing is, craft beer is a lot of the same styles. IPAs, hazy IPAs, basically lagers. They put a lot of different spices that represented Jamaican culture in their beer. And it's just something you can't find in other places. And that's part of the reason why they want to keep that alive. They also want to keep a space alive. They talk about that space being such a welcoming place for people.
But it is a tough business. I mean, for anyone. I mean, it's because people get into it out of passion, and then when it comes down to the brass tacks of making money or making rent, making paychecks, it gets hard.
Especially nowadays, as things keep going up in cost. We've seen CO2 has been hard to come by for a lot of brewers. That was a big deal for a long time. The price of grain, the price of hops, just all the ingredients that go into beer. Aluminum cans are really tough to come by now.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you're going to distribute, it gets more and more expensive to distribute. You need a lot of people inside your tap room, which is just something they say they get a lot, but they just weren't getting enough of. And here we are.
When he said we're used to disappointment, that's just really, that gets right to the point.
It was a gut punch when
you
he
hope
said
that sometime they get lifted up now.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody sees this and says, oh, wait a minute.
They're certainly hoping for that. They're hoping that someone out there has thought of something that they haven't thought of. They've been at the drawing board for quite a long time trying to figure out how to make this work.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys.